It was a cold, moonless Halloween night in the small, forgotten village of Hollowvale. Nestled deep within the dense woods, this village was known for its eerie history and disturbing secrets, and every year it came to life with terrifying tales. This particular Halloween night, however, would prove to be unlike any other. As the sun dipped below the horizon, children eagerly donned their costumes and armed themselves with plastic pumpkins, ready to embark on the annual trick-or-treating tradition. The air was thick with a sense of excitement, but there was also an unshakable unease in the atmosphere. Hollowvale had always been an unsettling place, but on this night, it was positively charged with malevolent energy. Among the children was a group of 4 friends: Mia, Ethan, Lily, and Jake. They were all dressed as classic monsters: Mia as a ghost, Ethan as a vampire, Lily as a witch, and Jake as a werewolf. With their flashlights flickering, they ventured into the dimly lit village, each house more ominous than the last. The first few houses yielded the usual assortment of candies and treats. But as the children approached the older part of the village, the decorations became more grotesque, and the atmosphere grew heavy with an unsettling silence. They arrived at a decrepit mansion, its windows shattered and its facade overgrown with ivy. Mia hesitated, but Jake dared her to ring the doorbell. A haunting chime echoed through the air, and the door slowly creaked open. Inside, an old man stood, hunched and clad in tattered rags. His piercing, milky white eyes glared at the children. "Trick or treat," Jake stammered. The old man grinned, revealing rotting teeth. "I've got a trick for you," he hissed. Suddenly, the lights went out, plunging them into darkness. Panic swept through the children as they heard the shuffling of feet around them. Then, a sinister voice whispered, "Welcome to Hollowvale, where Halloween never ends." The kids bolted from the mansion, but as they fled through the village, they found themselves surrounded by otherworldly apparitions and sinister creatures that seemed to materialize from the shadows. In their frenzied escape, they stumbled upon an ancient cemetery. Gravestones loomed in the darkness, and a spectral mist swirled around them. They were trapped, their candy-laden pumpkins falling to the ground, forgotten. The air turned ice cold, and a chorus of tormented souls cried out from the graves. It was a nightmarish tableau that seemed impossible to escape. But then, a figure emerged from the fog, a woman cloaked in darkness. She moved with an ethereal grace, her eyes blazing with an otherworldly light. She reached out and touched each child's forehead, causing them to freeze in place. "You've trespassed in the world of the lost," she whispered, "but I can guide you out." With a swift motion of her hand, she transported the children to the edge of the village. They were back in the real world, but Hollowvale had disappeared. The Halloween horrors had given way to the familiar streets of their hometown. Years passed, and the memory of that Halloween night faded. But then, one evening, Mia stumbled upon an old photograph. In it, the 4 friends were standing in front of the decrepit mansion, and behind them was the grinning old man with his milky eyes. In shock, she realized he was no longer in the photo. It was just the 4 of them. The realization struck her like a bolt of lightning. That Halloween night, they had encountered a malevolent spirit who had lured them into the cursed village of Hollowvale. The old man had taken their place in the real world, trapping them in the otherworldly realm. As Halloween approached again, Mia felt an eerie presence watching her, and she knew the spirits of Hollowvale were waiting for the opportunity to escape into the real world. She had to warn her friends. But before she could, the doorbell rang. She opened the door to find the grinning old man, standing there with milky white eyes. "Trick or treat," he hissed. In the quiet village of Hollowbrook, nestled deep in the heart of an ancient forest, there stood an old, decrepit school building. For generations, children from the village had attended Hollowbrook School, but no one dared enter it on Halloween night. Legend had it that the school was cursed, a place where the spirits of those who had met tragic fates lingered. It was a chilly October evening, and a group of adventurous teenagers, led by Sarah, decided to challenge this superstition. As they gathered near the school, the wind howled through the trees, creating an eerie symphony. The full moon cast a ghostly light over the agate structure, making it appear even more ominous. The teens hesitated, but Sarah, fueled by curiosity and a dash of youthful bravado, led them into the dark corridors. The air inside was icy, and they could hear their heartbeats echoing in the silence. As they explored the deserted classrooms, they stumbled upon old photographs of students from long ago. The eyes in the pictures seemed to follow their every move. In the basement, they found a dusty, forgotten library filled with old books. The pages were yellowed, and one of them, titled "The Curse of Hollowbrook School," piqued their interest. It told a chilling tale of a tragedy that had befallen the school years ago. Decades earlier, on a Halloween night much like this one, a terrible fire had consumed the school. Several children and their teacher had perished in the flames, and the fire was rumored to have been started by a student named Caleb, who had lost his mind after being tormented by his classmates. Caleb was never found, and the book hinted that he may have been seeking revenge even from beyond the grave. As the teens delved deeper into the story, the school began to feel less and less empty. Muffled whispers echoed through the hallways, and the temperature dropped to bone-chilling levels. Shadows danced in the corners of their vision. Panic set in, and the group decided to flee. But when they reached the front door, they found it locked. It was as if the school itself was holding them captive. They returned to the library and frantically searched for a way out, finding an old dusty map that showed a hidden passage beneath the school. Following the map's instructions, they descended into the subterranean catacombs beneath the school. In the depths of the underground labyrinth, they encountered eerie symbols etched into the walls and heard strange, ghostly whispers. Each twist and turn seemed to lead them deeper into an inescapable nightmare. Finally, they reached a cavernous chamber, and there, in the flickering light of their flashlights, they saw a shocking sight. Caleb, the long-lost student, stood before them, his eyes hollow and his form translucent. He spoke, not in anger, but in sorrow. "I never wanted to hurt anyone," he murmured. "I was driven to madness by the cruelty of my classmates. I've been trapped in this place ever since that night, seeking a way to set things right." The teens listened in awe as Caleb revealed that the curse could only be broken by showing kindness to someone who had suffered as he had. Together, they decided to help Caleb find peace. They returned to the school and hung up photographs of him in every classroom, asking for forgiveness on behalf of the entire village. As they did, the school seemed to sigh with relief, and Caleb's spirit began to fade away. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and the once cursed school became a place of peace. The teens, changed by their harrowing experience, left Hollowbrook School forever, never to return on Halloween night. And in Hollowbrook Village, the legend of the school and its tragic past lived on, serving as a chilling reminder of the consequences of cruelty and the power of redemption. Hollowick Village was known for its picturesque charm and the annual Halloween tradition, where children roamed the streets in search of candy and scares. But this particular Halloween, a group of kids would experience something far more sinister than they ever imagined. As the sun dipped below the horizon, a group of 5 friends, led by Sarah, embarked on their quest for candy. Dressed in their best costumes, they ventured into the heart of Hollowick. The streets were eerily quiet, and the houses appeared deserted, save for flickering jack-o'-lanterns and the occasional rustle of leaves. Their first stop was the old Abbott house, known for its ominous history. According to local lore, the Abbott family had mysteriously vanished on Halloween night many years ago. The children approached with caution, their footsteps echoing loudly in the silence. The front door creaked open, and a voice whispered in the wind, "Come in." The kids exchanged nervous glances but pressed on. Inside, they found the house filled with cobwebs, antique furniture, and unsettling portraits of the Abbott family. As they moved further into the dimly lit house, their flashlights revealed more and more strange symbols etched into the walls. The whispers grew louder, and shadows danced in the corners of the room. They heard a child's laughter echoing through the hallways and followed it to a decrepit nursery. The walls were adorned with faded drawings and the voice of a young girl singing a haunting lullaby. They watched in terror as an apparition of a girl, seemingly from another time, danced in the center of the room, her face a mask of sorrow. Her eyes met Sarah's, and she whispered, "Help use, Sarah." In a panic, the kids fled the house, leaving the eerie laughter and lullaby behind. They couldn't shake the feeling that they had stepped into a realm beyond their understanding. Their next stop was an old cemetery on the outskirts of the village. The moonlight cast an eerie glow over the tombstones as they made their way through the rows of graves. Suddenly, they noticed a fresh mound of dirt at the far end. It was as if a grave had been hastily dug. Curiosity got the better of them, and they began to dig, uncovering a small weathered box. Inside, they found an old, yellowed photograph of children in costumes, the Abbott family, and a note that read, "Forgive us." They could feel eyes on them, but no one was in sight. The kids hurried away, their hearts pounding, and returned to the village. The familiar houses seemed more ominous now, and the jack-o'-lanterns leered at them with sinister grins. As they reached the town square, they noticed that the other children were nowhere to be seen. The village had fallen into an eerie silence, broken only by the echoing chimes of a distant bell. Suddenly, a chilling realization washed over them. Hollowick Village was a place trapped in a never-ending Halloween night, a purgatory for the souls who had vanished, and now they were part of it. The friends huddled together in the square, their flashlights flickering in the growing darkness. They heard the sinister whispers again, and the shadows began to close in. They were enveloped by the night, unable to escape the haunting village. As they tried to comprehend their fate, Sarah suddenly turned to the others with a ghastly smile. Her eyes were no longer filled with fear, but malevolence. She whispered, "You should have never come here," as she lunged at her friends with a wicked supernatural strength. In the dark, a sinister cackle filled the air as the shadows swallowed the friends, one by one. The entire village seemed to come alive, its dark secrets unleashed. It was then that the kids realized they weren't trapped in Hollowick Village. They had become part of it, becoming vengeful spirits themselves, forever bound to haunt the village's cursed Halloween night.